Kim, thank you very much for the intro. You know, the thing about Kim is she is wild and fiery, but I saw her working today and she was so professional. And you know, I know a lot of people in the real estate business. I didn't like intentionally listen to her conversation, but I saw and heard kind of what she was doing, and she was really working hard for her client. And she was very professional and seemed to be making a lot of progress. You know, no jittery, just a really good conversation she was having and negotiation, and she was doing a great job. So even though she is our, you know, one of our fiery members, she's definitely can play the part however she needs to when she needs to. So by raising hands, who here has not heard a presentation by me yet? Harry, that's just because you intentionally didn't listen to me the last 3 or 4 times. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself first and how I got to where I'm at. You know, obviously, I'm married to Joy, which is definitely my better half. She has helped me to become successful, stay successful, probably stay alive, to be quite honest with you. I have a son, Dylan. He's 20 years old. Thinks he's 30, but acts like he's 10. You know,
Averages out.
Averages out. So maybe he's about 15, 16, really, in realistic years. But great kid, trying to figure out what he wants to do in the world. He's been working with me at Meineke for a while. He wants to learn the business. So he's been doing some shadowing with me. And so far, I think he's learning, but I'm not sure. Because, you know, he wants to know when we're going to play golf more often. I was like, that's not what this job is. This job is not playing golf, this is working. Golf is part of the reward for working hard. And I haven't seen any reason to reward you yet. But anyway, so back in I don't know when it was exactly, 89, I had just turned 18 in November of 88. And I was not really looking for a job. And the girlfriend I had at the time had a sister that worked about 25 miles north of where we were living, which happened to be, she worked in Bloomington, and we lived outside of Bedford, Indiana. And she wanted me to go up with her to visit her sister. And her sister worked in a bar in Bloomington. I'm like, no, I really don't want to go. I tried to talk her out of me going. She kept talking me into going, and I finally just gave up. I said, okay, I'll go to Bloomington. So we go to Bloomington, get to the bar. Of course, I can't go in because I'm only 18. And I'm sitting in the parking lot, I look over, and there's money. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go put an application in. So I go put an application in over there, and a couple days later, I get a phone call, and I said, well, we'd like to give you a shot. Okay, cool. So I went in, started my job. Come to find out, I was the second choice. He had actually, Tim, my mentor and best friend, had hired someone else that had more experience than me, but the guy didn't show up to work. So because of his unreliability, I got the job. It was bet by several people that I wouldn't last 2 weeks, that I would either be fired or I'd be in the dumpster dead by the end of the 2 weeks. As Tim always said, I started with a screwdriver and a pair of pliers in my back pocket and little knowledge. Okay, part of that's true. So I worked there when I was 18, started turning wrenches, doing technician work, and I decided that, you know, I liked the mechanical side of things, but I really liked people. I had a way of talking to people, and I was a very social person. And so I decided that I wanted to get on the counter and really talk to customers, get into customer service stuff. I kept telling Tim, I was like, I really want to go on the counter. I want to write estimates. I want to talk to customers. I want to be a sales person. No, you're too young. You can't do it. Too young. Okay. All right. So I kept bugging him and bugging him and bugging him. And finally he said, you know what? I'm going to let you try this if you'll just leave me alone. And I said, he didn't say it exactly like that, but that's kind of the idea. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I went up there and started working with him and everything, and I started dealing with customers. Our customer satisfaction rate went up. Our ARO, which is your ticket average, which is how much each individual person spends when they come in and have their car repaired went up. He came to me and he said, gosh, if I'd have done this, I've done this a long time ago. I said, I've been trying to tell you. So I was 20 years old when he gave me the position as the store manager. So then I went from technician to just helping as his assistant, kind of writing service, talking to customers, and working in the shop at the same time to the store manager when I turned 20, which I was the youngest store manager in the Meineke system. And then I became the first Meineke certified manager in the system. I ran that store for 15 years. We had been looking to expand and found a place on the opposite side of town where we were able to expand into our second location, and that was in 2005. I hired, at that point, a store manager, and I became the general manager. And the store manager I hired for that store was actually a technician who had worked for me for several years and then left it to selling cars and figured out that wasn't going to work. And that happens to be EJ. Kim, which is the gentleman that's on the counter over there now. He's been with me almost 30 years. So anyway, after that, we were looking maybe to expand in another location, and we ended up finding a place for sale through a realtor friend of mine that brought it to my attention. Said, hey, there's a place over here for sale. It was off the market. Went over, checked it out. We bought the business out and dissolved that business and turned it into a Meineke, and that was in 2008, so that was our third location. To fast forward a little bit, I had managed that store as the general manager. I hired another manager for that store, and then I brought Tim's nephew over, which was one of my assistant managers, to manage that store, and it took off really well. And then Tim, when he was getting ready to retire, it had always been the plan to sell his stores to me. And so at that point, though, his nephew wanted to buy a store, which is the store he was managing. And I agreed that, okay, that's fine. Let's go ahead and sell him that store, sell me these two stores. And then Tim ended up getting cancer. And so for 2 years, I ran all three of the stores, we paid all the bills, we did the whole thing, took care of everything. And I promised him that, regardless of what happened, I would help his nephew be successful because he was younger. And I would make sure that I took him under my wing and made sure that it was okay, and I did, and he was doing great. And so I bought the two Bloomington stores, and then in April of 19, Greg Neely, called me up, because I knew Greg through Meineke. Called me up and he said, hey, you want to be in Plainfield? And I'm like, I don't know if I do or not. So at that point, I started doing a little bit of research. I wanted to make sure that Plainfield was the right community for us. And what I mean by that is, in Bloomington, it's a really tight-knit community. We're very involved in the community. We give back to the community obviously gives to us, and we like to be able to support the community that we're in. And we wanted to have our business here be the same kind of platform. We want to be able to not just take care of customers coming in the door, but also be part of the community and try to get back and help where we can. And so we found out that that was the case, and I actually realized I had connections in Bloomington that had connections in Plainfield. And Brad DuBois was actually introduced to me by a good friend of mine, which is the vice president of business development for a large HVAC company in Bloomington, and said, oh yeah, I know Brad DuBois. We went to school together, we were roommates. I'm like, oh cool, so he introduced me to him. And then, I can't remember the guy's name now because I met him earlier and he changed positions, but the gentleman who used to be the general manager out at the aquatic center.
Chafin.
Yeah, Jason? What's his name?
His last name is Chafin.
Chafin, okay. Anyway, the same guy introduced me to him because he grew up with him. And so I got my foot in the door a little bit there. And then I started dealing with Brad and the chamber and showed up for those events. And I met people like Mike Laver and Jennifer. And I met that guy right there, which I can't take that back. It's irreversible now. He twisted my arm and got me to visit one of the Gold Star meetings here in town. That was not here. It was actually on the second story or second level. And so, anyway, long story short, I made an offer on the store. I bought the store. I came up here one day and put Panera Bread and looked it all over. I said, okay. I gave him an offer. He accepted gladly to get out of the business because he was ready. And then so we actually, that was in March. 30 days from the time that I gave him the offer, I opened up under my name April the 1st. So it was a very fast transaction. It happened very quickly. And we went through a lot of struggles at first, which were the struggles that Greg was going through, but he just didn't have as much resources as what I had because I have other people that I could pull from Bloomington. Some managers up here, I pulled a general manager up here to help. Struggled with getting the right people in and stuff, and you know, there was not as much resources he could offer because he just wasn't in a position to, that I could, and I think that helped me to get it over the hump. And then the other thing is being involved in the community. This community has been a phenomenal resource for me when I need something, but also have gave back to my business greatly. And that's what I like about these smaller communities. Is, you know, small businesses are the backbone of this country, and it's important for us small businesses to support each other anytime that we can. So now I can tell you that the store is running great. We still have a few little bumps in the road, but it's just the normal stuff we deal with all the time that other businesses deal with. Right now we are actually up 57% over the best year the store's ever had. So we are actually probably very good. Thank you. And it's a lot of the people in this room. And the good words that you put out there, and you know, and just the word of mouth. And it's not about how many customers you have, it's about the customers you have, right? And so you guys have been instrumental in our success 100%. And that store, I mean, we've broken 2 records in the last 3 weeks out of the month. Two weeks out of the month were record-breaking weeks. And that store, actually, this store is on, had we been in a little bit better position, it would be right with my other 2 stores. We're in the top 5% of the chain in those stores. And so that's out of about 800 stores. So we're doing very well in all the stores. The community down in Bloomington has been so great with us as well through COVID. We had so many people down there that were supportive of us. And again, my wife and I we made it a point to go out and support local business. We made it a point to spend money that we necessarily didn't want to spend right then. And it may not be a good time when you're in COVID to spend it, but also I think it was a good time because we got to help other people, I'm sure, stay in business, you know, by doing that. And in return, I've had people call me that I've had relationships with saying, hey, I got a couple cars that's needing quite a bit of work done, I just didn't want to do it yet, but you know, this is probably a good time to do it. Sent me on, you know, sent them in and you know, just because of what was going on, just trying to support us as we were supporting them. I know we're getting close to the end here, and I didn't really talk about technical stuff much because I wanted people that haven't heard this story to kind of understand where we came from. So now we have the 3 stores. Joy has her own business as well. She does an errands business, which she does some cleaning and runs errands for people, goes grocery shopping, does laundry, that kind of stuff when she wants. She doesn't do it because she has to, she does it because she likes to help people. However, after the first year, a lot of that stuff's going to go away. She's already dwindled a lot of it down because she is also our office manager and we're very busy. We're actually looking at buying another location. I can't disclose the location at this point. But I'm having a meeting here in about a week. I'm sitting down to start the negotiation, and my anticipation is that we'll have that wrapped up and hopefully be able to take that over by the 1st of January. So that'll be our 4th location. And so and we're expanding into this market a little bit. So I may end up needing Kim's help with finding me a place to live because we're also looking at possibly going into maybe Morgan County or somewhere in between so that it's not as far away. I'd like to get kind of in between the 2 stores. So I'll have 2 stores in the north and 2 stores down south. So that's kind of the idea. I just want to take a little time to answer any questions. Anybody have any questions?
Question, what's the best way for us to refer someone, like not on Facebook or whatever? Do we say, tell them a rock star sent you, or like what? How does that get recorded in your system so we can?
So what I would suggest, if you're going to refer me, anyone in Gold Star refers me, to start with, refer them directly to me. Go ahead and give them my cell phone number.
Okay.
If it's somebody you know, give them my cell phone number. Have them call me. Just let me know who it is so that I know. And then I'll reach out to them directly, or I'll talk to them directly, and I'll get them appointed to the right place where they need to go. I'll make that connection to start with, first of all, so they can start off on the right foot. If that works for you. Fleets, same way. Give them my personal cell phone. Who else has the next best question?
I don't have a question, but I will say that Ryan enjoyed a lot within Kiwanis, within the chamber. They're very, very, very good people. And then, they say that that's a boomerang effect. So they also were voted, they didn't just go out and say it. They were voted best oil change in Bloomington.
Yeah, auto repair.
And auto, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And
So-
member of the month for the chamber.
And member of the month of the chamber, yeah. So he's very humble, but
It was actually last year, July, or I have to look at the plaque. I can't remember. I do good to remember last year. I've got so much stuff going on. I do remember we have a date tonight at 7 p.m.
Yep.
at the world famous Little Zagreb's Yonko's Steakhouse in Bloomington.
That sounds impressive.
Oh man, good stuff. All right, so if we don't have any other questions, I'll wrap it up.
Another question.
One other question, yes sir.
How'd you get connected with Drew? So he's the one that makes a lot of magic happen over there.
So Drew is actually the husband of Buffy, and Buffy is a manager at Jack's Donuts. I met Buffy as well through the chamber.
Okay.
And so that's how I was able to meet up with Drew and hired him. So she referred him, and she had good things to say about him.
That's
mean,
good.
yeah.
So I hired him, and he's been doing a good job for me ever since. So I think he's been with me going 2 years now. So yeah, doing a great job. Yep. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan.